20 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a beautiful Monday afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. It's a little on the warm side, but when you get to July, that's the way it ought to be. Got a good show for you today. Obviously, a lot of stuff has gone on over the weekend, much of which we're going to react to today. So let's start out first by saying hello to Kelly Holcomb, who joins us from Murfreesboro.
Oh, we've got a little bit of an echo. That might
Can
be.
You hear me though? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, but we can also hear me, and that's an issue. We don't need to hear me twice.
I support that very, very much so.
Yeah. So do we think we've got this under control?
It's
No, not really.
not the best sounding echo.
Okay, so Kelly, how was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. My son was home this past week. We got a little golf in. Didn't get much golf. He wanted to take time off because he's out in the sun down in Troy a bunch. So I went to the Toy Country Club over in Spring Hill and tried to get a round of golf in, and the bottom fell out on the fifth hole. So we left.
Oh, I know all about that, boy. We've had a bunch of rain. Both Saturday night, yesterday. The weekend was pretty lousy weather-wise, but hopefully things are getting better. So trying to think where I ought to start this. Did you see by any chance any of the baseball draft last night?
I did not. No, I did not. Well, I saw I saw the first two guys taken, which was pretty. We thought that it may happen. Everybody talked about it during the College World Series, but the two LSU kids are pretty good players. And I saw where the Chase Dolander kid went ninth. Did he go ninth? He went ninth to somebody. So I did see all that, but I didn't watch the draft.
Where did Chase Dolander go?
Dolander went ninth to the Rockies. Kelly's right.
Ugh.
So that's they were talking about it last night, how for Dolander that's probably not the best place.
No, it's not the best place for anybody.
To
if you're
land.
a pitcher, that's a death sentence.
Yeah, and they were talking about it. They felt bad for him. He's a good pitcher and he'll pitch well, but it's almost like that's a burden on any pitcher. When you land at Colorado Mile High.
I have always wondered how deep down Denver was going to make this work, because you can't get any free agent sign there. Truthfully, you can't get anything to work there pitching wise, and they don't play. They play in a what do you call it? An altitude.
Yep.
That makes it virtually impossible.
Yeah, and it's nothing against him. It's just where he landed. So a lot of that you can't really control if you're Dolander.
Yeah,
you just got to go out there and pitch. Luckily, his hopefully the minor league affiliates aren't at mile high altitude.
So he ends up in Colorado. Enrique Bradfield ends up in Baltimore.
Yep, Bradfield,
which suddenly is one of the better major league franchises out there after a long rebuild. Help me. The Orioles are like 2 out of first right now.
Yeah.
In the American League East, they're about to catch Tampa.
Mm-hmm. And they've drafted well, and they've got a lot of their young players in the league now. They're young, but they're rolling, especially with Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, another younger guy that's rolling right now. So the Orioles, that's a great place for Bradfield to land. But George, I think the big story from last night of the draft, Skeens and Cruz going 1-2 out of LSU, the first time in the draft's history that two players from the same school go 1-2. Skeens is set to make $9.7 million, and Cruz, his agents are looking for a $10 million bonus for him, the largest bonus in draft history. So they're trying to land that for him. So,
and he ended up where?
Cruz ended up with the Nationals. So Skeens headed to Pittsburgh.
Who aren't drawing enough right now to pay the light bill.
No. But George Wyatt Langford also went 4th to the Rangers.
Yeah, saw that.
3 of the first 4 picks, all from the SEC, and they all were in the College World Series finals. So that's what made the College World Series so good this year. First time in draft history that 3 of the 4 picks came from one conference.
Sure didn't hurt them at all to get there.
No, it didn't. And Hurston Waldrop from Florida went to the Braves. And I thought that was a good pick. And George, a common theme with the Braves, they're taking another Atlanta kid. I mean, they are, I would guess, over half of their rosters from the city of Atlanta, or at least surrounding.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, this started with Brian McCann and Jeff Francoeur, and help me, there are a few more. David Hale was one of those. They've had a bunch. Jason Hayward, I think, was from somewhere in Georgia. They have gotten a lot of those. You know, I don't know that it's intentional, but that area, that Cobb County area, is an absolute baseball hotbed. And I don't pretend to know why so more than any other place, but it is.
Yeah. So they want to stay there. It's hard to leave that Cobb County area. So that's the draft. Vandy had 4 commits taken last night. So their recruiting class will take another hit, it seems.
So people are going to ask this question. Okay, why do you recruit somebody if they're going to get drafted and end up going somewhere else? Well, when the recruiting process starts on a kid, let's say 2.5 years ago, there's no way to know.
Exactly. I mean, Max Clark, Vanderbilt probably offered him when he was in 8th grade. You know, so I mean, at that point they don't know. But now they have changed those rules, George, that you can't start until college. You can't recruit. You can't offer a kid. I guess you could recruit him, but you can't offer a kid until college. Well,
now wait a minute. What does that mean?
Not until college. You can't offer. There's a yearly. They basically bumped it up. I said college. I meant high school. But you can't, like, you couldn't offer a sophomore in high school, right? So I think they have to be something like a year and a half away from getting to college.
Kelly, when did you get your first college offer?
That's a good question, George. I don't know if they didn't offer. I just got I was getting a lot of letters. I had a stack full of letters from all the. I remember going to a camp at Furman, and there was a bunch of schools there, and I can remember Georgia was watching me. There were some other people watching me. I got letters from all the Southeastern Conference teams. I got letters from Middle. I got letters from other places, but I don't ever remember offering. I went to Middle on a visit. I was supposed to go to Alabama the next week on a visit, and I decided not to go because I knew that I had an opportunity to play right off the bat at MTSU because they had just lost Phil Ironside, which was a starting quarterback. So that was my thinking and all that, and I had a chance to come in and start, and fortunately I did.
For the record, Hassler's Barber College looked at me but did not offer. Thank you.
Hassler's Barber College.
Yes, moving on.
Moving on, and really a disturbing story over the weekend. Of course, we saw the beginning of this on Friday, but new details have been uncovered with the Pat Fitzgerald situation at Northwestern. In a letter released on Saturday, Northwestern President Michael Schill says he may have erred in only giving Pat Fitzgerald a 2-week suspension. And also today, according to the Daily Northwestern, 3 former players said the Northwestern football program had a culture of enabling racism, among many, many other things that were released over the weekend. Don't even want to say specifically what it was. You know what they were if you read the story. But Northwestern they're 4-20 the last 2 years. Like this has correlated to success on the field. So that's another layer of this I think we've kind of forgotten.
We're going to spend a ton of time on this in the 3 o'clock hour. That will be Kelly's World of Football topic, because there are so many different places to go with this. And my guess is that Kelly will have some strong opinions. I will say this. Everything thus far that's coming out is anonymous. Will we ever get to a point where somebody puts their name behind it and says, this is what happened?
I don't think people that's, they come out anonymous usually stay anonymous. Plus, if you're on the team, if you're one of the guys that's a whistleblower and then things don't work out like you think they ought to, you're kind of the black sheep of the team. So I don't know. That's just a tough place to be in right now. And peer pressure is a tough thing. And if you cause a coach to get fired, there's a lot of stuff. But reading all that stuff, and we'll talk about this. We're not going to give anything away, but that goes on. But like, it's ridiculous if you read what's going on. That's over the line. Nobody ever needs to go through any of that.
What else you got?
In other news, Victor Wembanyama, of course, played Friday night, didn't play well at all. But last night, in his second game, he had 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks on 9 of 14 shooting. And the Spurs have 3 more games left in Vegas, but it's unclear whether he will continue to play. I guess they might rest him, and he'll get hit the weight room, training, things like that. But he's played in 2 games. First one not very good, but he played a lot better last night in his second one.
There's no doubt he's got skill. Okay, nobody's questioning that part. Now, Kelly, I think the storm cloud, he's going to get pushed around. You know that. I know that. You can see in his physical stature that's got a chance to happen. And then he's got to make some reactions to that pushing around until he can get in a weight room and really eliminate that issue.
I think you're absolutely right, George. The guy's 7'5", but I think he weighs 230 is what they said, or what it looks like. Now, he doesn't look like 230, but like, can you imagine him getting 30 or 40 more pounds on him? And he's going to get that just with maturity. That's kind of crazy for a guy to be that size. And I don't know what people expect. I mean, he's a young guy. I know he played professional basketball overseas, but it's something when you come into the NBA and his first game, I don't know if you can expect a lot. I mean, he's still a young guy. He's still got to learn the game, but he is going to get pushed around. He got pushed around a little bit the other night. He is going to get pushed around, but man, golly, that guy can do it from outside. He can do it from inside. He can dribble. It's kind of amazing to watch him. And I think we've talked about it in length, but I think he's with the right organization.
And over the weekend, Greg Popovich, who's 74, got a 5-year contract extension, which should put to rest sort of the, who's really going to coach this guy. It's Greg Popovich.
Right. Yeah, and he deserves to. I mean,
if that's what he wants, absolutely.
He's obviously getting up there in age, but, you get a generational talent like that, it probably motivates you as a coach a little bit to keep it rolling. But, George, last story here, more PGA Live drama. Couple stories attached to this.
Okay.
Former AT&T chairman Randall Stevenson resigned from the PGA Tour's policy board over concerns about the tour's partnership with Saudi Arabia. The Post said it obtained a copy of his letter, which was dated Saturday, and said the tour's framework agreement with Saudi Arabia's PIF is not one that I can objectively evaluate or in good conscience support, particularly in light of the U.S. intelligence report concerning Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. So you got to imagine potentially more people might be leaving that policy board after a lot of these discoveries.
This is the first of several.
Yeah, that's the first. And the second part, Live Golf officials announced today that the $50 million team championship will be played October the 20th at Trump National Doral in Miami. So the Trump industry getting involved with Live. No surprise there.
Okay. So that's our update.
That's it.
Okay, let's get to what's coming on Sunday. There it is. College Football Legends Night. We're going to have a big crowd. We've got over 150 already who have signed up. I would love to be able to get that into the 200 range and have this place unbelievably full. With Coach Fulmer, Watson Brown, David Cutcliffe, Tony Barnhart, we have put together a terrific lineup. If you want to make a reservation, there is still room, although we're getting closer. Simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Very simple. plastergeorge@gmail.com. Let me know how many are in your party, and I will put you on this big old list. If I lose this, we're screwed. How's that?
That's I don't think you're going to lose that, so that's good news.
No, I'm not going to lose that. Kelly, don't you steal it.
Oh, you better believe I'm not going to steal it, George, because I do things like that. And sometimes I've got a bunch of numbers and codes and things on a sheet of paper. And when I can't find it, I go into hives. So I know how that feels.
We don't need that. Anyway, here's what we've got planned for you. In a few moments, we should be joined by Tennessee State University Athletic Director Mikki Allen. He's scheduled to be with us at 2:20. We'll get into the home run derby tonight. I got one question. Why is Pete Alonso a 3 seed? The guy's won it twice. That's bull. He ought to be number 1. He's earned it. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't get that either.
I don't get it. Anyway, and then during the 3 o'clock hour, it will get very spicy as we dig deep through Kelly's world of football into what is going on at Northwestern. Stick around. This is the George Plaster Show from the beautiful Ford Ice Center in Bellevue.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over. Well, in the radio sports talk show world, I would have used the term, we're in a rain delay stall. We have made contact with Mikki Allen. He should be with us here in just a matter of seconds. I bet he's had an interesting couple of weeks. I had been hearing the whole Tennessee State and hockey for a while. And to be honest, I put it out on the air a couple of days before they made the announcement official. It had been out there pretty good in Nashville media circles. But I'm betting that nationally, this caught a lot of people by surprise because you just don't. First of all, this is the first historically black college to get into the hockey world. There's a picture of what the press conference looked like. And that was during the NHL draft, as you can tell. And so my guess is that Mikki Allen has been getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails about hockey. And he joins us. I can see him now at the bottom of the screen. Mikki, how in the world are you?
How you doing, brother? How you doing, George? I'm all right. Hey, I'm inundated with emails about hockey. I heard that, but it's all, hey, it's great, man. Great enthusiasm and momentum right now.
Mikki, when is the first time that this whole possibility entered into your world where somebody said, why don't we get a hockey team?
Yeah, so I was watching hockey with my wife. We were watching TNT, and we were watching the Preds. We're huge Nashville Predator fans, and the NHL and the Preds had an existing relationship with TSU through a educational initiative. Dr. Glover was raising funds for scholarships, and the Preds stepped up, Sean Henry, and they donated $1 million in 1 month to support scholarships at Tennessee State University. I said, hey, there's relationship there. Let's broach the idea to see if the Preds and the NHL wanted to get behind a hockey initiative. And, we would be the first HBCU to bring hockey as a sport offering to any HBCU campus soil. And here we are.
So my guess is, and I think it's a pretty educated guess, that since this has happened, you've been inundated. As I brought up before you came on, yeah, I'd been hearing this for a while in local circles, but nationally, the possibilities are that virtually nobody had heard it. And so tell me, what has the response been like since you all made the announcement?
Since the announcement, George, obviously was during the draft, and the enthusiasm and the momentum has been phenomenal. We've had Nick Guerrero, who is our assistant AD for media relations. He has a hockey background. His father works with the Rangers. He's been facilitating all requests for interviews, and he's set up our FAQ page, which it gives you some information on how we intend to go from a club program to the D1 realm. Talks about our feasibility study, and this has been an ongoing process, George, with a lot of great partners You couldn't be here in this space without great partnerships. I can't thank Sean Henry enough and his leadership. Bill Wickett, which is a senior VP there, and Nat Harden, which these are names and now I know a name pretty well, the Haslam name coming in now with ownership and my relationship there in UT. But you talk about individuals that are very intentional in their work. They've been very intentional in terms of making hockey, a sport that's loved by all in the Nashville community, with a lot of their initiatives out at Fort Ice and Antioch, Tennessee, with the centers there. But the game has been a game that it's been played by people of color, dating. You got greats like Willie O'Ree in the late 50s that, now he's in the Hall. But there's been, a lot of great players, but we need more. And the NHL recognizes that they need more. I think it's about out of 700 players, it was like 42 that were African-American players. And then, you look at the population of individuals that play hockey that come from people of color is 8%. So we got to get these numbers up. And Tennessee State, we want to be a conduit. We want to be a bridge and fill that void and saying, hey, you can come here, get a great education, but play a game that you love. You don't have to quit playing that game. Do it on our campus. And we got an iconic sports history. And here we go again. We're going to broach hockey.
Okay, I'm going to ask 2 or 3 of those FAQ kind of questions. Am I right that from NCAA rules, you have to be a club sport for a couple of years before entering D1? Yeah,
you can go right in. But we're taking the approach by the feasibility study. It states that, there's costs associated with funding a Division I men's and women's program. I definitely want to mention the women's program because we intend on having a women's program as well. But our steps here, to have a highly competitive club program. We have a director of operations that we're looking for. This individual will be the director of hockey operations, would be responsible for fundraising, working hand in hand with the Nashville Prez, the NHL, working with Kim Davis there at the league office. She's over social impact and with Commissioner Bettman and so many different individuals that want to help us out in this space. This is a collaborative effort. And but we need a leader in place. And so, man, we've gotten so many emails. Hey, I want to be that person. Let me lead this charge. And so it's just been phenomenal. And obviously we want other HBCUs to jump on board. But the best way I believe to approach this is like Arizona State Start Club. They ran a highly competitive club program for 2 years. And then a lot of the support from equipment to travel support, and some of those things are going to come from big corporations and brands, and we're continuing to outline that plan. And to date, man, we've had people emailing us, George, hey, we want to donate 25,000, 100,000. It's just been phenomenal.
Yeah, tell them send like, I don't know, 2% over here to the Fort Ice Center in Bellevue to the Plaster Show. Now, in all seriousness, who have you tried to seek out? You brought up Arizona State, which I had not heard before. But as you go down this road, clearly not a lot of ADs on the D1 level, other than the ones up north, know a lot hockey-wise. Who have you sought out for guidance?
Yeah, so Peter Roby, my brother played at Northeastern University, Chasen Allen, big-time basketball star there. But I remember when I went to visit him and watch him play, hockey is king in Boston, right? And so Peter Roby, he's a retired AD. He's a sounding board. Jason Krumer, he's the AD at Lindenwood. Obviously, they just jumped into OVC from D2 to D1, so they're in that transition process. And then, I did talk to John Swarbrick at Notre Dame. We're playing them on September the 2nd. And so, these are spaces that, when you haven't been in a space, you definitely need the knowledge and insight of those that have walked walked it and done it at a high level. And so I, as an AD, doing my due diligence of just keeping constant communication, asking them, hey, what are some of the challenges that you experience at the Division I level or at the club level, making the transition from club to Division I. Talk to me about, some of the revenue opportunities. We know about some of the costs, but this is a revenue generating sport for a lot of those institutions up north. And so that's something that we're looking at. And we know that when the Preds came in here, the GM, is it Pollock?
David Poyle.
Poyle, he just stepped down and, he talked about introducing hockey in this area and how there were some challenges. But now look at it. I mean, this is a hockey city, and it's a pro town. And so I really think that's going to be a critical piece in this, is the fact that we're in a pro town and we're just a new expansion team in the realm of hockey.
So, Mikki, here's one of these FAQ kind of things. It seems like, well, first of all, if you'll look in the background, our show originates from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. And the first time I ever walked in this facility was to see Tennessee and Vanderbilt play, I guess, on the club sport level, a hockey game 2 years ago. Fell in love with this place and said, this is where I'd like to do a show someday. And lo and behold, here we are in a permanent studio. So it seems like Bridgestone, Fordyce Center out in Antioch, Fordyce Center in Bellevue, are those basically the three homes as this starts?
Yes, that's I'm looking right there. You're at our potential. One of our home bases, that Fordyce Center, brother. We'll be skating there soon. But you talk about those locations, and so when you look at our footprint from a geographic standpoint, we can get to those areas seamlessly, right? And so those will be, from an initial starting point, those will be the venues that we'll practice and compete out of.
Okay, I've hogged it up till now. I'm going to turn it over to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, I've left football on the board for you, but if there's more hockey you want to get to, fire away.
Now, before he starts, Kelly Holcomb. Now, look, I'm a Murfreesboro guy. Now, you know the Holcomb name. That when it came off that arm, it was accurate. It was pinpoint. So if you don't know, this guy was a great name and a great player.
Are you really? I was going to bring that up a little bit. We had some MTSU had a bunch of big games against TSU. I remember coming to Hell Stadium too, and they had beaten us the year before, and we got y'all at home. So I was pretty happy about that. But we've had some bitter rivals, and we don't get to play. I wish we still got to play. We have some really good crowds, and we just hadn't been able to do that in the last couple of years. I don't know when it's been since the last time that Middle played TSU on the gridiron.
Well, we actually played them last year. It didn't go too well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but I've talked to Chris Massaro, and we're trying to get our basketball rivalry back. Those days when MTSU was in OVC, those games were highly attended, both on the football and basketball side, and so we really need to rekindle that rivalry right down the street, up 24. Let's go.
I totally agree. When we used to play you guys, we always played at Vanderbilt Stadium. We always played down there, and then we played that one year at y'all's place at Hell Stadium, and there's nothing like it. You see Eddie George in the background right there. There's nothing like TSU and MTSU because it's such a rivalry.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of great talent in the city of Nashville, and obviously in Rutherford County there. Familiar with a lot of great high schools, Blackman, Riverdale, Oakland, Siegel, and then this way, a lot of private schools, Pearl Cone, we can go on and on. But at the end of the day, a lot of those games, you had players that represented, great cities around here and competed at a high level. And so I would love to get back to that. Coach George is really put an emphasis on making sure that we can keep a fence around this area with a lot of our in-state talent. as well as a lot of other programs, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and obviously Middle. But in the FCS space, we're putting our flag down in our territory. This is Roar City. This is the home of the Big Blue. And when we were at our highest point athletically and from a competition standpoint, you had a lot of local talent that filled our rosters across all sports.
Eddie's obviously a big time name that you brought in to be the head coach there, kind of like Dion going to Jackson State and then going on to Colorado. But how has it been so far with Eddie? I see where y'all are playing. Don't y'all play Notre Dame next year? This coming up season.
Look at that big time game in South Indiana. That's a game that's been highly anticipated by our fan base. We got fans that'll be busing that way. We'll travel that way via air travel and charter. So our kids are looking forward to that. Our young men are. But two iconic brands, and back in the day, you would in the 70s, if you would have played this game, or the 80s with the Richard Dent era, but here we are. And so the community that way, they were looking forward to getting us in the area. Our band will be performing. We'll be speaking to a lot of local high schools there, just talking about the history of the HBCUs, and we're there recruiting not only student athletes, but we're trying to recruit students there and just make sure that our brand is represented in a first class manner on NBC. And so it'll be electric atmosphere. We'll be right looking at touchdown Jesus on the building, and but no, that is I was a fan of that program coming up. That program with Lou Holtz and then obviously with Johnny Majors and Coach Former at Tennessee. I chose Tennessee. I think it was a good choice, but no, it's our schedule. We got a lot of great opponents on it. This is going to be a big year for Coach George. He's a Heisman Trophy winner, but he's also a great football mind and a very diligent and strategic football coach. And he's built a great staff. We're in the building phases of our program, but that's what it takes. You got to build from within, get the right culture in place, and get the right support. And so all of those things, they're aligning. It takes time, but they're aligning, and I'm pleased about that.
Is Coach Fisher still there with him as a consultant? I mean, is he still helping with the program?
Yeah, Coach Fisher's been behind the scenes. Obviously, he's got blood, a little bit of blood. His son is our defensive coordinator, Brandon Fisher. But Coach Fish, he's been a part of the process from day one. He was an advocate of Eddie, Coach George taking the role. And, he's meant a lot to me in terms of, just how we've marched and stayed the course. And so we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to recruit at a high level. We had we called it the Roar City Camp. It was our mega camp. We had over 400 student athletes or prospects on our campus, just seeing what we had to offer. We opened our doors to other Power 5 institutions and FCS programs. And so our geography, where we are, Nashville is a growing city. It's one of the top cities in the country. It's easy to get here. It's accessible to a lot of cities and states that have a lot of great talent, a lot of great football coaches, and we're doing our due diligence and making sure that they know, hey, Tennessee State, that's a great option for your kid. If you want to grow your young man both academically and athletically, you can do it here, and you can do it at HBCU just like you can do it at a Power 5 PWI. So that's our charge, that's our mission, and we're going to get there.
It seems like and this will be my last question, Mickey, but it seems like I ask everybody this, but how, since you and I grew up, how has times changed, especially for an AD? How has the college landscape changed for any kind of sport? Recruiting, you got all the NIL stuff, you got all the transfer portals, you're getting guys moving down from the Power 5 schools. I'm sure y'all got some transfer guys that came in this year that will help the program, but how has it changed since you taking over the AD?
Yeah, well, you got a couple things. The name, image, and likeness space and the transfer portal have impacted college sports tremendously. You have kids now that have options. You have kids that, they come into your program and you got to make sure that you keep a pulse on your young man or young lady in your program. And I think retention is the big piece. And so, you got to know your identity. You got to know how a kid fits in the recruiting process on what you're trying to accomplish. And so that's something that I communicate with all of our head coaches. Hey, know who we are and what we are. And you're wanting to make sure that you align, your goals and who we are to the young man and young lady that we're recruiting. And so we have to do that. We have to make sure that we communicate up front. Hey, this is what we can offer. We have some kids in our program that have experienced name, image, and likeness contracts, and they've got some money in their pocket on that side. But we're not leaning on that to sell our program. We're leaning on the fact that we do a great job here at Tennessee State in terms of player development. You can play at the next level. If you come through 3500 John A. Merritt Boulevard, you can reach that level. We have over 120 plus draft picks that played in NFL. We have the only current NBA player from an HBCU and Rob Covington. We have two Hall of Famers and Denton Humphreys and Ed Too Tall. Come on, get him in Canton. Let's go. But you can do it here. But another thing I think to your question, Kelly, is the fact that social media is just so big. People want the information. They want it fast. And so we've done a great job here with our social media accounts, making sure that we're always putting content out there for our alums and fans respectively, where they can look into our program and know what we're doing on an everyday basis or week or even monthly basis.
Mickey, I certainly appreciate that, man. I was a rookie, and Richard Dent was in his last year with the Indianapolis Colts. So I got to play with Richard Dent. He made one of the greatest plays I've ever seen. We were playing Kansas City, and we had an all-out blitz, and he saw the back come out of the backfield, and he was supposed to be rushing. Well, he knew, because Richard Dent was really smart. You know that. That's the reason why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And he saw that back coming out of the backfield, and nobody had him, and he knew that. He peeled off and knocked the ball down, and we won that game. Crazy.
Wow, man. I mean, cerebral player.
Very much so.
And big time talent. And man, we need some more Richard Dents to come through here and a few Kelly Holcomb. So come on, man.
Appreciate it, Mickey. Thanks, man.
Hey, Mickey, I just sent you an email, and this ought to be right up your alley. Sunday out here at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue, at 5 o'clock, I've got Coach Fulmer, Coach Cutcliffe, Tony Barnhart, and Watson Brown all speaking. And I just sent you an invite. I want you to come.
Are you kidding me? You're talking about David Cutcliffe himself. He recruited me at Tennessee, and then the Coach Fulmer. Okay, so you sent it to me.
I just sent it to you, and I tell you what, when we get off here in just a second, I'll give you a holler real quick.
Okay, partner.
Thanks for doing this.
No, we appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
All right. Y'all take care. Go Big Blue.
That's Tennessee State Athletic Director Mikki Allen joining us. It's a hockey school, apparently.
Wow.
We'll find out more in the coming months. Let's talk really quick about the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. What, 3.5 weeks away? It's getting here. Tickets are on sale. There's a lot of chatter in the community. They've done a great job, not only with the drivers who are terrific, but with the musical acts over those 3 days. If you go to musiccitygp.com, you'll find ticket options that are starting at general admission, working all the way up to huge amenities, and now single-day tickets are available as well. Excuse me, I got a little cold, but it's very simple. Go to musiccitygp.com. Check it out. August 4th through the 6th is going to be spectacular.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
One of the things that got sort of drummed into my head as a young broadcaster, and in particular when I got less play-by-play and more talk show into it, is you got to be a good listener in interviews. And Mikki said something that I want to talk to you about, Kelly, because to me, it is one of the real injustices right now that's going on. The fact that Ed Too Tall Jones is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I don't get that.
You don't even think about that either, George. I didn't even think about it till you just now said that. But like, he was one of the most significant guys back in his day. I passed him on the street too, and I didn't even realize who it was. We were in Chicago. My family was in Chicago, and I kept looking at this guy. And he's a big old boy, and I'm like, I think that's Ed Too Tall Jones. Of course, my wife, my kids have no clue who that was, but you just don't think of that. All the winning that he did, he was with all those really good football teams with Tom Landry back in the day, and it's kind of you're right. It's kind of an injustice. It's kind of like, I know that Pete Rose did something that obviously is inexcusable from what the Hall of Fame has done to him. They will not let him in. But like, for a guy like Ed Too Tall Jones not to be in the Hall of Fame is kind of a shame. It really is.
Let me ask you this, Kelly. As an former NFL quarterback, how much politicking is involved in the Hall of Fame induction? I mean, is there none?
Oh, I can help with this a little bit.
I'm sure there's a
I mean,
bunch. I wouldn't even know. I'm sure there's a bunch. All the guys that I know that I played with, like the Marvin Harrisons, the Edgerrin James, the Peyton Mannings. I mean, they were first ballot Hall of Fame guys. But you get some guys that just seem to get overlooked every year. So it's like it seems like it's kind of a who's who of football when it comes down to it.
My buddy John McClain, who has since retired from the Houston Chronicle, was on the Pro Football Hall of Fame selection committee. And one of the things that ends up going on is they will request, let's just say, Kelly, that you were close to Hall of Fame status. Okay. Yeah. I might be the person, as a media person in Middle Tennessee, it would be conceivable that I would be the one to champion your cause. I can remember, and I don't remember the player, but David Clymer, the late David Clymer from the Tennessean, championed somebody's cause because that's the way they operate.
So champion as in simply promote it? Or?
Well, yeah, that I would go perhaps in front of the committee and say to them, are you aware of these things that Kelly Holcomb did as a player? First of all, let me make clear, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, way easier to get into than baseball.
I've heard that.
Way easier. It makes Too Tall Jones's exclusion even more ridiculous. Look, this guy at 6'9", the havoc that he wreaked. I mean, Kelly, how does a 6'1" quarterback throw over a leaping with his hand in the air 6'9"?
Well, see, that's the thing that gets me when they talk about it. And I even talked to Tom Moore the other day, and he was talking about some of the smaller guys in the league. But when you look at a Doug Flutie or a guy like that, even me, I'm 6'3", and I'm on the lower end. Like Peyton's 6'5", Couchy was 6'4". I mean, some of those guys are huge. But there was a guy that I played with, Mike Williams. He was a number one pick, or he was the number one pick for the Buffalo Bills. I don't think he was the number one pick, but he was an offensive lineman. And the guy was absolutely huge. I mean, he was 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". I don't remember. But the guy's shoulders were as wide as that picture that's behind me. And if you think that I can actually throw over a guy like that, it just doesn't happen. I mean, that's why the game moves. When the ball is snapped, you've got defensive linemen, offensive linemen moving. It's a kinetic state where they're moving. So you throw through lanes that are in that the offensive linemen open up for you. You don't throw it like I can't throw over a guy like that. You get balls knocked down all the time, but like when you've got a guy that's 6'9", like Too Tall Jones, that's a little bit different because most guys are not defensive ends that big. That's just, and when you get your hands up, man, that's tough to throw over. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a 6'5" quarterback. You're not going to be able to throw over him unless you're throwing a deep ball. So that's what irritates me about all these prognosticators getting on there and talking about, well, he's not very big and he's too small. He can't see. Well, you can't throw over a guy like that. I don't know how big. I don't care how tall you are, George. You have to throw through lanes that open up from the defensive lineman and the offensive lineman having their battles one-on-one or double teams or things like that. So when you've got a guy that's his size and the things that he did in the league for as long as he did and went to a lot of championships, it's kind of shameful that he's not in the National Football League Hall of Fame because you're right. It's not very hard to get into the National – if you've done anything in your career, it's so much easier than all the other sports to get into the Hall of Fame.
Now, let me say this. In baseball, there is such a thing as a veterans committee that if they feel like a player has not gotten what he deserves, he can finally get in through the Veterans Committee. I believe that former Atlanta Braves superstar, two-time most valuable player Dale Murphy will end up in the Baseball Hall of Fame, perhaps through the Veterans Committee. I don't know if pro football has one, but Too Tall Jones is one that has slipped through the cracks, and I don't get it.
So there's no chance for him anymore. I mean,
I don't know that. I don't know what in front of me. I don't have the pro football rules of, how long you can be considered. I just think as I think about names, this just seems like one that has slipped through the cracks. And thanks
it's funny. I already thought he was. I mean, that's how you hear.
You would assume that, sure.
You hear
Right.
Ed Too Tall Jones
Because a bunch of his teammates are in there.
right. That's
I
a
don't
tough
get
one.
it.
That's correct. I don't know. It's just guys like that. There's other guys that that I can't think of off the top of my head, but you're like, I cannot believe that. Like Ed Too Tall Jones, you would just think that he's in the Football Hall of Fame. Drew Pearson I think it was Drew Pearson that got inducted in the same day that Peyton did. And it took him forever to get up there too. He was an undrafted guy for the Dallas Cowboys, and boy, he was very very gracious when he said when he gave his speech. He was very gracious. He'd waited for a long time, but Ed Too Tall Jones is just like one of those guys that you just think he's automatically in, and he's not.
What about Richard Dent? He's not in there, is he?
No, Richard Dent is.
Richard
he is in the
Dent
Hall
is.
of Fame.
He is. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Mickey brought up Richard Dent, saying
He did because he was a TSU guy, but he's in a Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Listen, you talk about a guy that wreaked havoc. Man, it was Richard Dent. So, Kelly, you've been to Canton.
Yes.
Hey, I've been to Canton. Billy, have you ever been?
No.
I got to go in 2008 when the Titans played Buffalo in the Hall of Fame game. And John McClain, through his connections, took me on a tour the likes of which nobody ever gets. And it was amazing. That was a great weekend.
John McClain giving a tour of Canton.
And in fact, we did it for the TV show that I used to do on Fox 17. And also on that trip, we were able to go to then Jacobs Field to see the Indians play. And then we went to PNC Park in Pittsburgh, most underrated, great stadium in the country, to see the Pirates. That was a hell of a trip.
Nice little trip there.
I need another one like that. Listen, after the break, we'll get to stat of the day, which probably won't be very positive. And then we'll get into Kelly's world of football. And this is one every one of you needs to listen to. Stay with us.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
All right, it's time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. You can find them at 204 East Depot Street. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday, from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. All right, here's what we got today. Baseball question. Last night, LSU ace Paul Skeens got taken number 1 overall to the Pirates. He's the 6th player and first pitcher to win Most Outstanding Player at the College World Series and go number 1 overall in the draft. Skeens joins who as the only players to do both in the same year?
Whoa. Okay, let's think about this. Got taken number 1. He's the 6th player and first pitcher to win Most Outstanding Player at the College World Series. And what was that? And
go number 1 overall.
Go number 1 overall. Okay.
In the draft.
The first
Sorry,
thought
George,
I had,
I'm not going to be much help here.
Yeah, the first thought I had, except that he's a pitcher, was Steven Strasburg. Bryce Harper did not go to college.
Nope.
So it's not Bryce Harper.
In the 90s.
Would it?
Early 90s.
Chipper came out of high school, so it is not Chipper.
I was thinking like a Roger Clemens, but that was in the 80s. He was drafted in the 80s, and I don't even know if he was number 1.
Early 90s, played for a pretty traditional program who has kind of fallen off as of late a little bit.
So we're thinking USC or Arizona State.
On the West Coast.
On the West Coast. Let's see who it is.
Okay. You'll probably kick yourself, George. Phil Nevin for Cal State Fullerton.
That's a hard one.
It's tough, but I didn't know if that would pop in your mind at all.
Yeah, Phil Nevin, of course, now the manager of the LA Angels.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too.
Yeah.
He's a manager, but I wasn't sure if he's still a manager.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, not easy.
Okay, Billy, was that yours or was that David's?
That was mine. The last couple have been mine. I've been finding these.
All right.
David had a tough job.
Okay,
These are hard to find.
I know. Good. You finally grown up a little bit and done it on your own. You stepped out on your own.
Got the keys to the car now.
How do we think that's going right now, Kelly? If you had to put a letter grade on it.
I don't know. Like that question right there was just like, I mean, it's kind of getting to the point of being absurd. Like Phil Nevin, like, yeah, you could have given me that and I could have stayed here till the end of time.
We could have been here.
Never gotten that.
We could have been here till midnight, or as my mom used to say, until the cows come home. We were not getting Phil Nevin.
So y'all are ready for football.
And frankly, any of you who are out there going, "Oh, I knew it," I don't believe it.
A lot of pressure.
They're liars. They are liars.
Could be.
A lot of pressure on Kelly for the first football question.
So is it now time to play Kelly's Open?
Yes, it is.
Well, then let's do that. It's a moment you have breathlessly awaited. It's time for Kelly Holcomb's World of Football. As shocking as this may sound, Kelly Holcomb's World of Football has sponsors. It's brought to you in part by Baird Financial with Yaz Hassan and Justin Oldham, and by State Farm Insurance, located in Murfreesboro, through agent Celeste Middleton. So here is what I believe. Okay, can't prove this, but I believe that what has gone on over the weekend at Northwestern is the tip of the reporting iceberg. And what I mean by that is, I think people are going to come out of the woodwork saying virtually every school you can imagine does some of this. So the whole, oh, I'm shocked. Don't be shocked. I think this goes on all over the country.
But to this level, though?
No, I'm not saying to
so you're
this
saying
level.
to some extent there are issues like these.
There are issues like these. Now, how many rise to the level of what the Northwestern student newspaper reported?
God,
I hope not many.
God.
So, Kelly, let's start with this. The question that is going to get debated is, did Pat Fitzgerald know? And if he knew, not only did he know, was he encouraging it? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we've got some former players, all of whom are anonymous at this point, saying he did know. This does beg the question, if this kind of stuff was going on, is it possible that Pat Fitzgerald did not know?
Are you asking my opinion, George? And my opinion is, yes, he knew. If you're a coach of a college program, you know what's going on behind closed doors. You know what's going on in the dorm. You know what's going on in certain areas. That's part of your job to know that kind of stuff. Now, going back to my college days, we got hazed. I mean, that was just part of it. We had to get up and we had to sing, which singing's different. I understand that. I even had to do that when I went to the National Football League. I had to get up on the table. The people start hitting their glasses and they want some entertainment. So you get up there and you sing. There was times where I heard things when I was a freshman in the locker room, and you hear about things, and then you get a knock on the door, and then you tell your roommate, if you open that door, I'm going to physically fight you right now because they are doing things to young freshmen that, it's just part of the gig, George. Now, when you read this article, these dudes went too far. When you start talking about you stripping guys down and doing stuff like that, and then some of the things that they were doing, that's going way too far. I don't agree with that. But when you grow up in a locker room, George, when you're in a locker room, when I was a rookie a long time ago with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm not going to say any names, but there was a guy, and he was a running back that ran his mouth a bunch, and he was a younger guy. I don't think he was a rookie, but he had been there for I think he was a rookie the year before I got there. So that was his second year. But I can remember some of the older guys got tired of listening to him. And right before practice, they taped this dude up and threw him in the shower and cut the water on. So the water was actually coming up. It wasn't a very good drainage anyway, but the water was actually coming up. So I actually went in there and I helped this dude get out of the tape, and he was laughing about it. I mean, it's just, that kind of stuff happens. But if you're a coach of a big time division, it doesn't matter if you're Division I, a Power 5, or a Group of 5, or a FCS school. If you're the coach of that football team, you know the heartbeat of your team. You know exactly what's going on with your team. And if you read the articles about what was going on at Northwestern and the hand clapping stuff that was going on, they say they would go clap over somebody's head, which means you went on the Shrek list, which means you went on the run list. And they said that the head coach would do that. So you got to think that he knew what was going on, George.
Okay, so let me take this a tad bit further. In an argument I had with a friend of mine earlier today about this person said, it's conceivable a head coach doesn't know. He can't know every last thing that's going on. And then I brought up a point that most of your Division I staffs not only have analysts to go along with a coaching staff, but you got a lot of 25-year-old GAs. And whether the coach is ever told, hey, by the way, this stuff's going on, the 25-year-old GAs know exactly what's going on.
Absolutely. And it's conceivable that a coach does not know, but I tell you how coaches know. I'll tell you how Coach Donnelly used to find things out, because people would call and tell. You're going to tell me that a bunch of kids are going through this and then it's not reverberating around the locker room and coaches walking through there, here's something, and then that's how that stuff happens a lot of times. And you get that from secondhand guys. You get calls, a head coach will get calls about, hey, these kids are down here, they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. That's how all that stuff happens. And that's how a coach knows kind of everything. They've got the bead, they know a lot of people in town. And when you're a kid and you go out, those people know who you are. They know you play football for the Clemsons of the world, for the Ohio States of the world. They know who you are. And to think that somebody's not going to say things and to keep that stuff silent is just not going to happen. So it may be conceivable that a coach does not know, but he's going to find out through all those areas of the grad assistants or a young man saying something in the locker room where one of the assistant coaches walking through talking to one of his position players, here's something going on. That's kind of how that stuff happens. So I'm going to say that he knew, but we don't know. Now, I did read another article, George, that said that another player said, well, this guy wanted Coach Fitz, he wanted him fired. So he's, are we making things up? And then one guy said that stuff never went on in the locker room. So now you get this deal where, do we really know what's going on? And are they disgruntled employees? Are they disgruntled student athletes that are not getting to play? Are they trying to start something with Pat Fitzgerald? So they're going to do an investigation. They're going to find all that stuff out. But you got to think about all that stuff now, because all this stuff with social media, putting stuff up. I can't believe somebody with the phones now has not taken a video of something like that happening while stuff like that's going on. So it's a very bad situation that's starting to unravel at Northwestern, and you just don't know the truth a lot of times. And some guys make allegations that aren't true, but it seems like people are coming out of the woodwork. And if that stuff did happen, George, with all the things that they said in that's taking hazing too far.
Okay, couple of things. Number one, Pat Fitzgerald is one of the more highly respected D1 coaches out there. The job this guy has done at Northwestern is nothing short of miraculous. So,
correct.
Other than the last couple of years.
Yeah, the last couple have definitely seen a drop-off. What have they been like?
4-20.
4-20 in the last 2 years.
After they won the Big Ten in 2020.
Right.
COVID year.
Okay, so on the front end, Fitzgerald has been well respected. Now, let's go a little farther with this. The athletic director is a former Vanderbilt football player, Dr. Derek Gregg, who I'll admit, I don't know that I ever met Derek, but I know that his name popped up in the Vanderbilt athletic director search for the last 2 or 3 times that it's been out there. And you see the picture of him on the right with the late David Williams. So Derek Gregg's the athletic director. You got a president in this thing named Michael Schill. Okay, I don't know Michael Schill. Kelly, I think it's fair to say I don't travel in a lot of academia circles. Gee, that was a big shot. But then we get into this. Okay, here's what all has come out What do I think is going to happen? Here's what I think is going to happen. I think we are living in a day and time, whether it is right or wrong, where there's very little real forgiving.
Yeah.
My gut feeling is that Pat Fitzgerald is going to get fired at Northwestern. My gut feeling is that Derek Gregg, the athletic director, is going down with him. And my gut feeling is that Michael Schill, who I think looks like a complete idiot right now, is also going down probably later on. Let me explain where I'm coming from here. Schill put out on, I guess, Friday or late Thursday, his suspension of Pat Fitzgerald. Right, Billy?
Yep.
And you read it out to me. Well, I have no idea exactly what was going on at the student newspaper at Northwestern, but my gut feeling is that they had in the can
a lot
this story.
Yeah.
Or a bunch of it. And they waited until Schill put out his slap on the wrist, and then they came with a Godzilla report.
I know you don't want to give them too much credit because it takes away from the story, but you kind of do. I mean, give credit to those students. I mean, that's the best journalism school in America, and we're learning why.
Well, so they put out the next day all this stuff. And by the way, if you haven't read it, oh my goodness, it will blow your mind what they are reporting. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make Schill look very good, and he knew it. And he immediately rushed in to say, maybe I have erred in the first punishment. Well, duh. I mean, you talk about if this stuff is true, he looks like he was asleep at the wheel. And I think ultimately, at some point, he will pay dearly for that. The only thing here, Kelly, that really gets me is that nobody will attach their name to anything.
Well, yeah, that's the hard thing, George. Everything's coming out as anonymous, but like I said at the beginning of the show, if you're a player and you're in that program, and this stuff turns out to not go anywhere, or it turns out to not be true, and you're one of the guys that have come forward and you put your name out there, and you get Pat Fitzgerald fired, which I'm pretty sure, I'm like you, I think he's gone. There's no forgiving in those instances, and when you're the AD, you have to fall on the sword as well, because if you got a football coach that's doing that, and if you've heard about that and you don't say anything to him, you're going to be gone as well. And then I don't know about the president, but I'm kind of like you with giving him a 2-week suspension and a slap on the wrist. That's nothing. So if you're a young man that goes in there and you put your name out there and you do that, and things don't turn out the way that they should turn out, if it is true, it's just peer pressure is tough, George, especially if you're in a locker room like that. And if you got a whole team that loves Pat Fitzgerald, and then you're the guy that gets him fired, I don't know how you go through something like that. You're probably going to have to get into the transfer portal, because those guys are not going to like you. They're going to be upset at you. They're probably going to treat you harshly. They're going to do things to you. So it's better that you just pack your bags and move on. That's kind of the harsh reality of it. But what you were saying earlier, George, if people, it's just like the gambling stuff in the National Football League. If you don't think that hazing's been going on from the beginning of time, now obviously it's different at other places, and obviously it doesn't get to this level. It never got to that level at MTSU. Now I can remember them doing some things on the hallway when they grabbed you and they got you. It was pretty tough, and I'm telling you, that night that I'd heard in the locker room that they were going to do some of that stuff. Now they didn't bother me. They didn't bother me when I was a freshman, because I was the freshman starting quarterback, so they didn't bother me. But when springtime rolled around, I heard that stuff was coming, and I can remember my roommate, they knocking on the door, And I said, if you touch that door, man, me and you are going to fight because I know what's happening tonight. And me and him did not go out. I mean, it was like 6:00 at night, and you could hear everybody whispering outside. They were knocking on the door, and then me and him stayed in. I don't even know if we got dinner that night, but we stayed in that night. And then the next morning we got up and we got penny locked in our dorm room. Like we couldn't get the door open because they had shoved pennies in there for us not to unlock the door. So that stuff happens, George. It's part of going through it. But if they're saying what happened at Northwestern, that's gone way too far.
Let me take it a little bit farther. I don't expect a player on this current roster to come forward for exactly what Kelly has said. There's nobody that is going to put their name behind it. But I am a little surprised that a former player who no longer really has to face the music, in particular if they don't live in that Chicago, Evanston, Illinois area, I am surprised that so far nobody's done that. Now, let me go back to where I was going. I do think Fitzgerald is going to get fired.
Yep.
I think Derek Gregg is going to go down with him because as the AD, it's almost like linking the two together. If you're the athletic director and you don't know this crap's going on, then you might be clueless. And yeah, I mean, so one probably equals two here. Presidents, that's a different thing. They're normally the last to go. But Schill has looked so stupid in this with his 2-week slap on the wrist. And then the students apparently had in the can a story that was going to blow that whole 2-week thing to smithereens. Now, here's the other thing that I think is coming. I think this is going to lead us to a wave of reporting as beat writers who have nothing to do at this time of the year that are assigned to cover a college football team are like, wonder if this went on at Initech.
Well, you say beat
or
writer.
Georgia Tech.
You say beat writer. It might be they might have gotten this story because they're students. You know, they know players.
Oh, sure. There is an advantage there.
Yeah, not saying a beat writer can't form a relationship with a player or two, but I mean, being a student, you know, they had the advantage there. So it's almost like more students, you know, might try to.
If I were a reporter right now at a newspaper, and let's just say I would be one of the older ones, could I go back to my time at an institution and get somebody to tell me, hell yeah, this went on? Oh, I could get it done within an hour. Anybody worth a hoot could get it done. If stuff was going on. I'm not saying whether it was or it wasn't, and I'm not trying to pick here on Vandy at all. I'm just saying at any school. And I think what you're going to have is a next wave of little stories that start coming out of other schools where, you know, Tijuana Tech reports that they were doing X. We're going to see some of this.
I totally agree, George, especially with the way social media is now. And you're right. If I'm a reporter and I'm at a college, and I have nothing to I'm going to go ask a player, does this stuff happen? Now, on Billy's note, students probably have an easier shot to do that because they don't really feel as students being a viable threat to do something. Like in the media, you have to be really guarded what you say to the media. But I don't know if the student newspaper writers are looked upon as the same by their peers. I'm not sure that happens, but I'm like you. I would be all over that. If I'm trying to get a story at the slow time of the year and this comes out, I'm going to go ask every young man I can to see if somebody will drop something and just see where it goes from there. But you could be right, George. This could be opening up a can of worms that just can't be undone.
Well, if those students were thought of members of the media before this came out, they sure are now. Because kudos to them, man.
Man. And let me also say this. When you report that stuff, you better be right.
Yeah.
If you put one of these out and it's wrong, ooh.
Well, and maybe players went to this news, maybe former players.
We don't know. Let me say this. We have efforted to try to get one of those students there are about 4 of them who were involved in writing the story. We have efforted. Is that a word? We have tried.
Yeah, I don't know about that, George.
Yeah. Efforted. We done efforted. We have tried to get one of those 4.
I can teach you some grammar.
We done got us.
We've had some efforts. We've had efforts.
Thus far, our efforts have failed. Now, these kids are getting hit every which way but loose. But we are going to try to get with one of them soon. I'll leave it at that. We'll go to the break.
Big graphics package coming up. Stay tuned. Next segment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So look at this, Kelly. We've put him to work.
Oh, he's actually doing something today.
Yes. Apparently he'll have proof of it as we talk home run derby when we come back.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
So the home run derby is tonight, and I'll admit as a hardcore baseball fan, it bugs me that this has become a better event than the actual game. What's going on in the last 10, 15 years is pretty simple. As you have all these young throwers who come in blazing at 100 miles an hour, they're basically told, let it all hang out. You're going to pitch 1 inning. And what ends up happening is the game ends up 3-1. You have about 8 hits, 27 strikeouts. And to be honest,
and everybody falls asleep.
All-star games have gotten boring. They really have. So the home run event tonight in Seattle goes on. And Seattle's park is a tough one. It is not by any stretch a home run haven. I think it's one of the tougher parks to get a ball out of. Kelly, what I'm going to do is take you through the 4 matchups at the beginning. And look at all of that.
I knew you'd like this, George.
Wow.
Got
Kelly,
a lot up there.
That is good. Did David do that or did you do that, Billy?
How dare you even ask that?
Sorry, I just had to. My
That's
bad.
disrespectful.
Okay, the deal
It
is
is.
Luis Robert on the left has been red hot. Don't be shocked when this guy gets it done. On the other side, this is a 1 versus an 8. And by the way, it's total BS that Pete Alonso isn't the 1 seed.
What's up with that?
I don't.
Is this
Hell
just
if I know.
Is this randomized?
I have no idea. So this is apparently a 1 versus an 8. Adley Rutschman is sort of the face, sort of the matinee idol behind the Baltimore Orioles' resurgence. My gut feeling is Luis Roberts wins this matchup because he has been red hot in recent weeks. Excuse me, I'm about to cough.
There we go.
Boy, that was professional.
Bad time of year, George. Bad time of year
you
for you.
don't see that in live radio.
Don't sleep on Adley Rutschman here, though. He's got some power of his own. When he gets a hold of one, like all these guys do, they all got power. But I've seen a couple of home runs from Rutschman. Looked like they went to the moon. So
Robert is the favorite because he's been red hot lately, which the White Sox, they've been anything but red hot. They've been a huge disappointment, but he has been their star so far. Okay, the 4 versus 5 is Adolis Garcia from the Rangers, whose brother Adonis was a third baseman during some of the worst of the Braves rebuild between 2014 and 16.
he was a centerpiece of that rebuild.
Oh, my God. When I think of Adonis Garcia, I think of losing and losing a ton. The brother has been really good with the Rangers, but he gets Randy Arozarena, who is one of the real characters in baseball. First of all, he had a World Series a couple of years ago that got people's attention. He was really good, and he has kept that going since then. Why he's the 5 seed, I don't get that either.
They must have done a lottery for randomize this for lottery balls.
Arozarena is
plus 115.
Yeah, take him.
You're going to take him?
No, I'm saying if somebody's out there and they're doing
You
this,
recommend to take him?
Yeah, I kind of do. Arozarena.
This is a tough one. They similar type guys, at least power wise. They're not real big. They're not a Pete Alonso or who's the other guy? Guerrero Jr. They're not as big as those guys, but they got power. So I'll be interested to watch this one.
So my apologies. Pete Alonso is a 2 seed.
Yes.
He's up next in this. Okay. He's won it twice.
Yep. He would join Ken Griffey Jr. as the only players to win the event 3 times, and 21% of the money is on Pete Alonso to win it tonight at BetMGM. So everybody's on Alonso.
Kelly, I think that one of the things about this competition that you don't ever think about, you're like, gosh, it's not that hard. You just go up and hit homers. I'm told that by the time it's over, you're gassed.
Well, the guys are exhausted. You can tell by watching them; they're exhausted. It's going to be, of course, I don't know if it's going to be hot up there, but at these other places, it's hot. You're swinging. I mean, you're trying to hit home runs. I can't imagine the calories that those guys lose during a home run derby. I cannot imagine that.
Now, Julio Rodriguez is one of the real emerging superstars in baseball. But until somebody knocks off Pete Alonso, I'm going Pete Alonso.
Tough matchup.
This was a semifinal. This was a semifinal matchup though last year, right? Was it not?
You might be right.
Was it really?
You might be right there,
Yeah.
Kel.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Here's
Pete
one
Alonso
other
got
thought.
it. And I've got a question for you, George. Okay, so Pete Alonso, didn't he hurt his left wrist or something? Didn't he have an injury? And since he's been back from that injury, he's only hit like 4 home runs, so maybe that's why he's not the top guy.
Could be. Let me say this. As a Braves fan, I am thrilled that no Braves are in this. Acuna was an obvious, and he apparently said thanks, but no thanks. I think that what ends up happening a lot of times, in particular with the young players, I think they get into some terrible habits from this competition. Personally, I'm thrilled that a Matt Olson, who probably should be in this, a Ronald Acuna, who probably should be in this.
I don't think he enjoyed it the last time he was in it.
I'm thrilled that there are no Braves in it. The Braves, by the way, are on a pace right now to hit more homers than any team has ever hit in Major League history in a 162-game schedule.
Wow.
So Julio, Pete Alonso might be a really good matchup. You were going to ask.
Kelly?
Me? What was I going to ask? I don't
You
remember.
said
I
you had
already
a
asked.
question.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. I asked about Pete Alonso. Didn't he have an injury? And that may be why he's not that.
Yeah,
that guy.
You're probably right. He has been a little banged up, and he hasn't. I mean, let's face it, he hasn't hit as well in the first half of this season as he did last year. But we can't forget how much power he still has.
And then has anybody ever, George? Has anybody ever, like all the guys that are in the home run derby, have they ever monitored them when they go back to the regular season? I mean, I wonder how their batting average has been affected by them doing that.
Oh, I think there have been 2 or 3 that have fallen off a cliff.
Josh Hamilton.
Josh Hamilton was one of them. I just think you get into some bad habits, and I think GMs are really leery. I'm not aware that anybody has contractual language that says they can't be in it. My gut feeling is the commissioner would void that because this is an event that they want to do well.
And the fans love it.
Yeah, because the All-Star game has become so boring.
Yeah, no one.
And I hate that.
No one watches it.
I never believed that until I went in 2001 to Atlanta, and I was really fired up. But the truth of it is, the home run derby was way better than the game, and I came away really disillusioned. The players don't care anymore about the All-Star game. The ones that are in the starting lineup are likely on an airplane by the 6th inning.
You're probably true.
Now, the last one of these to me is the most compelling. Vlad on the left. Vladimir Guerrero is a poster child for the home run derby. On the other side, Nashvilleian Mookie Betts, Overton High School, has been red hot over the weekend. He torched the LA Angels. I want to say hit 3 bombs in that series.
Yeah, he was unconscious.
Yeah. So this will be a really good one.
Don't sleep on Mookie Betts here. I know he's not really – I don't know if he's got power. I don't know if he's known for his power as much as Vlad Guerrero Jr. is, but I would not sleep on Mookie here, facing up against the younger Vlad.
So, Kelly, until I see Alonso go down, that's who I'm going with.
Is that who you're going with? Who are you going with, Billy?
I haven't picked a winner. I picked 4 winners for these first round matchups. I picked Vlad. I picked Alonso.
Arozarena.
I picked
Luis Robert.
Adolis. I picked Adley Rutschman as an upset. That's my upset.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, Pete Alonso, he's been so good in these derbies when he's been in them.
Very nice graphics. Who'd you steal those from?
Oh, it was just creativity.
Do you believe that, Kelly? That he used the word creativity?
George, let me ask y'all both something about the All-Star game.
Okay.
You saw what they've done with the Pro Bowl because they reimagined the Pro Bowl with all this stuff because nobody wants to hit anymore. So do you think that's coming from Major League Baseball with the game itself? I mean, will they reimagine that some way? Because here's the deal. They've gotten so much money poured into these guys. And then what's going to happen one day when you got a guy that is making $100 million and then he goes to the All-Star game and he messes up his elbow and he has to have Tommy John surgery? Like I mean, that's the whole thing with all this money stuff. They don't want those guys doing anything other than playing for their club. So will they ever reimagine the All-Star game, you think, in Major League Baseball?
No. I don't think
Okay.
they're anywhere close to that thought. Now, they had a snafu a few years ago. Bud Selig looked like an idiot. In his hometown of Milwaukee, both teams ran out of pitchers, and they had to call the game at the end of like 11 innings.
How in the world does that happen?
Oh, it was. I've been reading a book about some of the stuff that went on behind the scenes in the Bud Selig administration. That one did not make him look good.
Yeah, it's an all-star game. Surely you can.
Yeah, they don't want to go to
Break the
extra innings
rules.
either.
Change the damn rules. Anyway, after the break, we will gloat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see these.
The word is gloatage. Stay tuned.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Final segment on a Monday, Home Run Derby coming up tonight, 7 o'clock. That'll be on ESPN. But first, Plaster's bets of the day without bets of the day. We're just going to review and gloat over George's Friday night. It's brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. Kelly, How in the world did this happen on Friday night?
Oh, wow. George. Hey, he pulled out the old Ted Williams. He's not sitting on the bench, dude. He lit it up.
What was your strategy, George? Look at the 4 easiest wins on Friday night, or
it was just simply to bring on a level of excellence. This is called gloatage. By the way, 51% now.
Are you going to make any more bets? Is this it?
There's really nothing to bet on. I mean,
you didn't want to take a shot at the Derby tonight.
If you
Ted
want
Williams
me to,
would. Ted Williams would.
Fine. You want me to?
Yeah.
Here it is. Luis Robert, Randy Arozarena, Pete Alonso. The last one is tough. Vlad.
Okay.
So I went 4-0 Friday night. Kelly, today ends the first year of this show. This show began, this TV version, podcast, whatever you want to call it, began on July the 11th, 2022, a day that will live in broadcast infamy.
No question about that. That's pretty good, though, George. I got to commend you, man. You did not sit on the sideline. I was hoping that you were going to get edge closer. You know, the losing column was going to edge closer to the winning column, and then you were going to call him sick. That's what I was hoping.
I would never do that. I'm way too honorable for that.
You are. I agree.
So, Billy, do you have the graphic ready like a good producer would?
Oh, I could never not have
there.
That ready.
Wow. Kelly, he stepped up his game a little bit.
He has today. I'm really impressed. That one's a good one. I'm still impressed with the people that Jorge knows, man. I'm just shocked that he knows all these guys. He's going to get them on a panel, and we're going to have a bunch of folks there to watch. That's going to be awesome.
We are. We have over 150 who have committed to be here on Sunday. We've still got a little more room. We have reconfigured this room a little bit, so there will be more space Sunday for all of you who are coming. If you have seen this, heard about it, even remotely have said, whoa, I need to be there. Well, you know what? You need to jump in right now. Email me to make a reservation, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. When you email me, let me know how many are in your party, and we'll put you on the big old list. There it is, the big list. If I lose this, we're screwed.
George, you hadn't put that on some PDF or anything on your computer?
No, there's not a lot of what I'd call technological stuff here, Kelly.
Yeah, it's all handwritten.
I'm with you. That's the thing about it. Like, Billy is so much more advanced than we are with this stuff. Like, if it's me, I'm taking a legal pad and I'm writing names down just like you did. So I'm with you.
Right there.
This is the Stone Age versus
whatever. You know what?
Guy.
Yeah, whatever. It's called common sense versus whatever.
Hey, Billy,
Anyway.
am I ever going to get anything in the opening, man? I mean, are we just going to
That's a question for George.
No, it's a question for you because George doesn't care. He doesn't know how to do it. So it's a question for you. Like, when are you going to spend a little bit of time? Do I need to give you like a C note to get it done or what?
Together.
I understand that, George, but you're not going to change it because you don't know how to change it. Billy's the one that can change it. Like,
I know how to change it.
A little bit. Do I need to grease his palms a little bit, give him $100 and see if I can get on here?
I think that'd be good.
Give me back the garnishment that I gave you.
We'll continue this conversation tomorrow. Kelly, behave. Enjoy the home run derby.
See ya.
Billy, you and I are going to have a meeting.
Uh-oh.
See all of you tomorrow.